So money doesn't change you. It just brings out who you really are. And if you're an asshole when you get into business as a human and then you start to make money, you're certainly going to be an asshole.
Welcome back to Ridgeside K9EC Radio.
Yay.
With Mike and myself, Greg, here. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about small business ownership, entrepreneurial spirit, hustle, struggle.
And not the bullshit that you see on Instagram that owning a small business is so easy. You can make 7 figures in 2 minutes. All you have to do is just post one reel.
Yeah, and I'm also not going to tell you that like 99% of business owners fail. Like that's a personality type kind of thing, I guess you could say.
I mean, a shit ton of businesses do fail.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not just the idea of starting a small business. Like, you're not doomed to fail.
Right.
If you put 100%, 110% into the actual business, you can be successful if you have that personality.
I would say also, like, I guess a good portion of the failure rate is also scaling in a inadequate way, either not scaling enough when you should have or scaling too much and overshooting the boundary of what you were doing.
Blowing your wad.
Yeah, I was like, shoot your shot. I'm glad we were on the same wavelength there.
It's dude speak.
Yeah. So when it comes to business owning,
And let's caveat this. Neither of us are like gurus of this shit. I've been around for a while. I've, helped grow companies and like contracting companies. And this is, I'm 1 year into owning my own business. I didn't start this from the ground up, the training side of it. Like I kind of took it over after it was falling apart. But I've been able to scale it appropriately. Right. And I had my own issues that we had to deal with that we can get into it. But you guys started something from the ground up. So that's why don't you talk about the startup process and like, I'm sure it was super easy and there was no stress at all. You just had an idea, saw an audience, had a solution, and then you just magically put it together, and it's been all rainbows and sunshine.
It has been a wild year and a half. So the store, Ridgeside Canine Dog Training Supplies, is the small business that my fiance and I own. Ashley has her own rules and responsibilities into it. I have my own, but together, and like it was, I don't know, hindsight. Like I'm glad we are where we are, and I'm glad we did what we did. But like, it was a crazy journey. It was a crazy idea, and thank God we had the training to back it up. Because like, with a lot of small businesses, taking out too many loans or paying certain things back, not having the demographic for certain things is definitely a big problem for us as dog trainers. We wanted a space to like, for inclement weather, lessons, personal training. We wanted a space in a small area to kind of just train. And then we were doing that and we were like, hey, let's, what if we also stocked? Cause like we were like place caught wholesalers. Cause like we bought them in bulk or whatever. And it was like, well, what if we stock some place cots for client graduations? And since we're also e-collar, dealers, why don't we stock some e-collars and like some people can buy them, if they're like lessons based clients and they don't get an e-collar through the package, they have to buy it on their own. It was like, oh, like we can, have this space and stock some small amount of items.
Yeah.
And we thought that was the idea in the first 2 days. And then within a week, we had like 20 different accounts for other wholesalers. And we started ordering things and, we kind of said, like, we're still figuring it out right now. So it's kind of hard for me to speak on, what our plan was back then, because like, we're still working on our plan, you know, like we are still,
in hindsight, sometimes that can be the best kind of plan. Cause I mean, from what I see with you guys is like, the overall concept is dog training supplies, dog store, right? But you're different than the PetSmarts and the other bullshit stores because you're selling higher quality equipment designed by dog people for dog people. Yeah. And it's high quality small business, that all the equipment that you guys carry. But you guys do a really good job of like listening to the audience of like, you didn't have this idea of like, this is what I'm going to do. And then like drive that into the ground, whether it's successful or not. Like you didn't have the ego. You listened to the client base, who's obviously like your consumer, so they're going to help pay your bills. And then you adapted and started carrying different stuff because there was a need for it.
Oh yeah, like every week, every month, we're always sitting down talking about like, hey, we had a customer come in, they asked about this product, we don't have it. Is that something that we should look into? And like 99% of the time we do, or feeding off of the trainers, as is like the trainers with Ridgeside saying, hey, we want to expand this section. What do you recommend? Whether it's the bite wall or the, enrichment wall or food. Like when we first started selling food, I think it was like
or the hunting supply stuff too.
Like, yeah, like that's gotten a lot bigger recently. So for certain things, like our goal is to, support dog owners, dog enthusiasts, and trainers with the best quality gear that they can get. And they can get it in a lot of different places as well. But for us, it was about consolidating it all, making it a community, which the training side of it, which we tried doing as well. All of our clients know that we have a community, we have a family here. So that's kind of what the store was to be for a bigger reach nationally, I guess, is to make a community of all the best stuff under one roof kind of deal. But like I said, I'm glad that we had the training income, I guess you could say, to support this, because taking loans out, and which we did, but like the training income definitely helped supplement a lot of it. It was very rocky. There's definitely been periods where it's like, is this going to be financially successful? We were talking about watching a bunch of Mr. Beast stuff like periodically, and I was just watching a reel from him where like, he's like, I made $100,000 last month, and my mom was like, cool, like, take 20,000, put it aside, and then put 80,000 into your next video. And he's like, no, I made 100,000. I'm putting 101,000 into this next video. And that's kind of what we do at the store. Like every single thing that comes, or every single sales profit that comes out of the store month by month by month, has always gone back into the store. It's always gone back into growing it, making it bigger, making it better, more inventory on hand. Because like some of the stuff that we started out with, like we had a quantity of like 2 bungee collars per color, and now we have like 15 colors, or 15 quantity per color.
Yeah, I was listening to you guys do inventory and saying words that are apparently colors that I would have never guessed.
Yeah, it's so like I said, I'm glad that we had the training side of it there, but overall, we already have a 24/7 job with dog training as is. So running the small business of the store has been just another one, which I'm glad that there's 2 of us, because to manage a 24-hour business by yourself is very, very difficult. To manage 2 would be damn near impossible. So with the 2 of us, we split enough to where it makes it fair and even, and we work through it and we excel through it. But there's definitely been a lot of struggle, a lot of hardship through it.
I think one of the key points that you hit, that a lot of small business owners, whether it's dog trainers or anything, like I talk to any small business owner that I can, gym owners, whatever, just to like figure it out, see, their struggles, because owning a business is owning a business. It doesn't matter what your niche is, or, you'll run into the same struggles. But the key thing that you said, that a lot of, guys who either haven't scaled or been stagnant or are unsuccessful in opening a business, is you reinvest back into the business. And if you don't do that, you're going to fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Because the only way to scale a business, or to grow your business, or to keep your businesses afloat, is to pump money back into it. Like if you guys, were, say you took out all these loans, bought all this inventory, and then you're like, cool, face value, we made $100,000 off all this inventory. You can either run with the cash, or you can spend more money to buy more inventory to continue to build the brand, and then hopefully make more money down the road.
Yeah. And like that's, like we want the store, like for what it's grown, in a year, like, sometimes we'll like be locking up and we'll look around and I'm like, 2 months ago, this place looked like shit.
Yeah.
And like I say that every single 2 months, like every single 2 months, I'm like, I can't believe.
Is that why you guys completely rearrange the store every 6 minutes?
Yeah, pretty much. It like
I'm at least up there twice a week for lessons and stuff. And literally every time I come in there, I'm like, this is brand new.
Well, yeah. So like there's the IKEA method of forcing your customers to walk through everything. So it makes them want to buy something. IKEA? Did you really?
Yeah. In high school.
Interesting. In Sweden?
No.
Oh, like
in Woodbridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Well, you understand their layout is the way it is.
So annoying.
So it makes you go through every department.
Yeah. I mean, cool like idea, but like when you work there, it's super annoying. Because even as an employee, like
they don't have like little like Disneyland security gates.
A couple here and there.
Tunnels like drop you out.
If you got to go from like, hey, this person needs help in this thing, and it's all the way upstairs, you got to like cut through all the showrooms, and I mean the warehouses are like 300,000 square feet.
Damn. Well, so the other way, and like we don't actually do it for this reason, but like some big box stores will like move shit around, so it makes you walk to a certain place, not see what you were looking for, and then like you see more product.
Yeah,
it just tricks you.
Every time I go to a cash register, I'm victim of that with like Reese's cups. It's like they know.
So like, not that we do it that way, but we just keep reorganizing to make it better for the customer. You know, like what they want to see. You know, put what they want to see, put what they're looking for up front, kind of deal. You know, making it more efficient for them. But overall, like, just the stress of like learning online shipping and, you know, taxes are like, I don't even want to get like, taxes are a difficult part of small business, you know, as it is. But
I don't
like,
want to talk about it because we're in tax season right now.
But like all the other stuff, like, you know, she's doing it right now. Like she's going through our online shipping because like we're doing a lot of orders to Canada, and we just did our first order to Japan, and we do a lot to like England or Germany or wherever. We actually had a repeat customer from Dubai. They ordered from Dubai, got their package. Like we saw the tracking delivery notification, and within like 4 hours they ordered again, and they've like both orders have been like over $500.
Bro,
I don't know what
if
like,
they live in Dubai, they're not hurting for money.
Yeah.
So shame on them. They should triple it.
So like we're learning a lot of that stuff, and you know, some of the losses that we're taking on those things are just part of growth. Like I guess that's, you know, fear of loss and like bottlenecking up on that. You know, like you are going to take losses, like you are going to make decisions, or like just with learning, like
oh my God,
like like you have to learn. So if you're not going to make a mistake because you're afraid of the loss that's going to be associated with that mistake,
you've already lost.
Yeah, like you've already set yourself up for failure.
Yeah, like paralysis by analysis is a huge one. And you see that across the board. But I think like picking up from what you said, like if you didn't have any other means of income to help support the store, do you think it would have been successful the way that you did it?
No. It wouldn't have grown. Well,
I mean,
like,
you guys could have been homeless as shit.
But. Yeah, like we could have. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I wouldn't have wanted it to do it that way. Yeah. So like we could have taken out more loans, but it is a very beautiful symbiotic relationship. You know,
and that would be. I talk to a lot of, you know, even friends and stuff that are still in law enforcement or whatever, and I'm like, you got to get the fuck out. Like, and that's a whole weird culture where like they hook, line, and sinker bought into like the pension program, and you know, oh, I'm gonna have retirement and everything's gonna be great and blah blah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you have a stable career now. Use that to your advantage. Start a side hustle that you're passionate about, that you can make money from. Build that to the point where you can no longer sustain, and it doesn't make sense working in law enforcement. And this is exactly what Aaron did when he started the whole thing. Like, he just had an epiphany one day. He was like, bro, this weekend I made my yearly salary. Like, it's stupid for me to be a cop anymore because I can do this. I love doing this, and I can make way more money doing it. But he used that career to help bridge it. I think if he would have just, you know, dropped everything without still having a career, having the paycheck, the week to week stuff, and was like, I'm starting a dog training business, I quit.
It'd been rough.
And there was no bridge. Like, it would have probably not worked out.
Yeah, and like so.
Although knowing him, like he's psycho enough where like he would have made it work regardless. And I think that's where it comes down to the mentality of everything. Like you and Ashley, even if you wouldn't have had the the dog training to help support it, you guys would have made it work because failure is really not an option.
Well, so, and like for what it is, like the reason I said no, it wouldn't have worked because for how niche of a thing it is, the training company or the trainers clients help support it. Like we literally stocked enough basically gear for 3 months worth of graduations, let's just say. Like if it was, hey, there's 6 trainers with Ridgeside, all their clients are going to need place cots and all their clients are going to need a bag of treats. Let's stock, 30 place cots and let's stock 30 bags of treats for the next 3 months. And that way those clients come in and grab those things. Like we didn't want to invest in, 5 pallets of dog food and like all this and that because like no one knew who we were. Like no one driving down the road who's going to Tractor Supply or PetSmart for dog food is going to stop in to us instead, right?
Yeah. Speaking of, you guys are going to have to order more Marine Nookshook.
She just ordered it today. She got
Excellent.
36 bags of Marine 25 specifically.
Perfect.
But
shout out if you're watching this and you don't feed your dog a Nookshook and you would like to, we carry it.
Yeah,
they carry it.
That's one of the things we need next is in a Nookshook sponsorship.
Yeah.
Tell Rich to talk to them and let him
he
know.
Does have that hookup.
Yeah. Anyway, so for that, like it was like we were buying enough to stock.
They're Canadian though, right?
Yeah.
They're out of Canada. That. I'm not taking Canadian sponsor. Communist.
I'm not taking Canadian dollars.
Get out of here.
So we were stocking enough for the clients, and then as we were gaining organic customers, we just started stocking enough of what they would need. And then as we started the online side of it, it was all right, well, like, let's start the online side. In a month, online bought out what we had for our in-store customers. So it's like, all right, cool, let's double everything we have. And then more online customers. Okay, let's triple everything we have. So like every month, every, new sales milestone we hit, it's all right, cool, let's reinvest that into supporting what we have. So the training definitely helped it and supplemented it, and that's why I said like it probably wouldn't have been successful without it, because it was too niche of a thing, and like without the marketing and the background in business, like Ashley and I don't have these business degrees, like we don't, like we are learning on the fly with all that, so it definitely helped. And then like the training through the store, like I said, having clients come in and out, having customers come in and out, having lessons, people come in and out and see the place. And then how Ashley's been growing the online side of it, like creating, like I said, how the training company has a community, the online side has the community. Like I've seen and I don't deal with it. Like I don't, probably for the last year and a half, I might've been signed into the store's Instagram for like 4 weeks in total. I keep like taking it off my phone because like I have no reason to have it. Ashley runs all of it, but like me seeing all the stories and all the comments, like she'll drop reels and it's like, I wish this was in Argentina. I wish this store was in, Dubai. I wish this store was in Germany. I wish this store was in, California. I wish you guys would open up one here, here, and here. And like the online support side of it has been crazy. Which just drives our passion deeper into making it better and better. Like
shit, I would go to Dubai to open a store.
Yeah,
the Gucciest dog store around.
Yeah, so like now, like it just makes my dreams bigger for what the next place is going to be. Like when we're going to outgrow our space, which like from hearing Aaron a lot, like I'm planning that in my head. Like you don't want to move into a space that you're going to outgrow in a year or two.
Yeah.
And we've been doing really good with like reorganizing, because like another side of why we always reorganize the store is so we know when we move. Like we have tried 50 different layouts. We know when we move how a retail store should be set up, or how.
Well, I think you got to, no matter what you do, like there's no, I mean, if you open up a franchise or whatever, like you open up a Chick-fil-A, like they all look exactly the same, but somewhere somebody did all the market research to figure out what's the most effective way to do it. So that's just what you guys are doing, and you're tinkering. And honestly, like it's probably the best way to learn is just to tinker.
Yeah, and like I would assume 6 years from now or 7 years from now, like with all the Ridgeside locations, all of the like we don't have a facility here, but if we did in 5 years, Rich has one, Tidewater has one, Aaron has one, Knoxville has one, Columbus has one, or wherever in Ohio has one. Like those are all the like things to learn from. You know, like
for sure.
Where do you put this? Where do you put that? Where do you put this? How do you have your flow of traffic to come in and out, dog in, dog out? How do you avoid dogs on leash or whatever it is? So like we are just figuring all that shit out like on the go, week by week and stuff. But yeah, it's super beneficial. Like you said, Ashley and I, if we didn't have the training side of it, for our entrepreneurial spirit, we would have done something a little different. But like I feel like that's the biggest thing. And like I don't know, like for what you're gonna go into, I was gonna ask the question of like, since owning this now, have you had more entrepreneurial ideas? Which I guess like you're kind of expanding, even with this podcast, we're expanding outside of the training. But have you had more entrepreneurial like fire for other things? Like,
oh yeah, 100%. Like everywhere I see a problem or like something annoys me, I'm like, I could start a business and do that, right? But that's one of the biggest pitfalls of, I think, people, once they catch the bug of entrepreneurial spirit and they're successful at it and they start making a little bit of money. And now, you know, I have money that I don't, like I have overflow money that I could potentially invest here, do this, create stuff.
Right.
You have to stay in your lane. Like I know nothing about like product development. So I'm like, oh shit, I should create this. Yeah. Or I don't know
a new weight loss shake or like a new energy drink.
I don't know shit about supplements. Like I don't, or enough to, you know, create one or try and get into that, or like clothing brand. Like, so whatever I do expand on, it's got to be dog related. And you know, we still have the aspirations of opening a facility. I just need the economy to figure itself out.
Well, so backing up for your business side of it, what's been some of the biggest things that you didn't think about or you weren't expecting, or you like things that you've learned from in the past year from coming down here?
Yeah. You know, you hear all the stories of like, it's easy. And then
who's saying these stories?
Yeah, but fucking Instagram is what it is. And there's this like false persona, like that running a business is easy. And I've been through like a lot of stressful situations in my life where, but it's more or less like me and equally trained people doing the same thing. And like, I get that.
It is very different.
Once I adopted, you know, 15 people, and, you know, there's been some changes and like got rid of some, brought on new ones to really fit the culture of who we are and where we're going to continue to go. Like the amount of sleepless nights, not because I'm up like grinding 24/7, 365, like, you know, 3:00 in the morning in here, like typing emails and all that stuff. Like it's not that kind of grind, but I'll literally wake up out of a cold night or like a sleep and be like, I wonder how my ads are doing. Yeah. Like if my ads aren't hitting appropriately, like shit, now all of a sudden, like, you know, our trainers with kids aren't going to be able to feed their kids. And like, is this person happy? Is that person happy? Or you know, are they progressing with their career goals? And like, I went from having 2 kids of my own to now all you guys are adults. Yeah. But I look at you like children. So like, shit.
Well, like you are taking care of us.
Yeah.
Like,
and that is
like you are taking care of us in what it's worth, you know?
And trying to get ahead of problems too. Like the random shit I think about and like, how am I going to react in the event that like, okay, so we're in North Carolina. Like I never once thought about like, I'm responsible for 15, how many ever people work for us now. Like if we have a hurricane, like category 5 come through here, like I've never had to do like a mass evac plan for 15 people, plus the dogs we have in training, plus the families that we're supporting in training, and like trying to figure out all that stuff is wild. Yeah. And then I suck with technology. Like I'm not a technology guru. I've learned a lot, and like we're kind of putting some shit together. Like the quality is okay. But trying to learn all that, trying to learn how to edit videos, trying to learn social media marketing and whatever that works. And then as soon as I kind of figure it out, I'm like, oh, that's successful. They fucking change everything. And then I have to relearn new stuff. So there's so much shit that goes on behind the scenes that is just keeps you in a brain fog. That's why, shameless plug, this is like a segue into ad. That's why I drink black rifle coffee, because It keeps the neurons firing in the brain full speed.
Is that scientifically proven?
Science is facts. If I say it's fucking facts, it's facts.
I get it. Hey, I know a knife hand when I see one. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
You never argue with a knife hand. That is simple science. But I think overall, like the hardest thing about all of this, like the dog training part is easy. The marketing stuff, like it just is what it is. Like we're doing pretty good. But managing 15 different personalities, or however, we'll just go with 15. I have to look at the roster. Managing 15 personalities and trying to make all that like a cohesive unit is by far the most difficult thing, hands down, out of this whole process.
Yeah, and like it's like knowing that from the military side, you know, it is difficult because when you think about it, and you know, more people should think this way when they're driving down the road or when they're at a store. Every single person in the company or every single person you see in the world has just as complex of a mind as you do. Every single person on the highway has their own problems. Like if you're like driving home, you know, and you're like worried about this and that and this and like whatever, and like someone cuts you off and like they're a fucking idiot, like they are thinking about their family, their job, their like all the stresses in their life. So like it is difficult because like when you're in charge of these people and you're telling them, hey, do this, and do this, but you don't always think about like what else they have to do, like what else the responsibilities are.
My communication background, like we kind of had the same path. So like prior to this adventure, I was working with a bunch of like alpha dudes, right? So I could just be like, hey, fuckface, get this done. Yeah. And it was done, right? And it wasn't like a personal thing, or like even if we're just like ripping into one another because like it was just a bad day, like everybody's got shit going on, somebody fucked up something dumb, somebody overreacted, and like we got into it, it was done. Like that's over. But now like dealing with civilians, I guess, is, for lack of a better term, like is completely different. And you know, most of our staff is female. Not that makes a big difference, but like communication styles are way different. I can't tell our youngest female trainer like, hey, fuckface, get this done, because they'll become emotional about it because they don't have the same experience or the same complexities, or like don't understand necessarily that I'm saying that and it's like a personal thing.
Yeah, like separating professional and personal. Like like it is not personal. The job needs to be done. Execute, and then like
and like I use the word fuck all the time. I use it as like a point of emphasis, but that doesn't mean I'm mad.
No.
Like if I'm like, hey, go pick up the fucking trash. Like I'm not mad. I'm not agitated. I'm not irritated. I'm no disrespect to you, but just like it's just trash.
I'm agitated. I'm emphasizing
my point. That's my exclamation point.
Yeah. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the trash.
Yeah, correct. It's weird, man. Managing people is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And then finding people is so we're in like an expansion phase or a growth phase. Finding people is like that's sometimes almost a thing that I have like paralysis by analysis on, because there's so many factors that go into it. Like at face value, sure, I should just hire a dog trainer, like a good dog trainer. But then after you meet a lot of dog trainers that are in the dog world, like they suck, right? They may be great at training dogs, but they suck as human beings.
Yeah.
And we've been burned by that a couple of times. So I've kind of changed my philosophy on that, and I'm looking more towards like good people that will fit with our vision as a company, where we want to go in our culture, right? The core group of like culture people that we have. Will they mesh? And it's like trying to figure out like, oh, okay, this person's personality is going to fit into this, you know, subgroup, and like they'll be able to work well together. And but then trying to find those good people is very hard, because one of the biggest things like in today's society is like that whole victim mentality. And I have zero fucking patience for it. And there's so many people that are applying to come into this, you know, community, or like even just job, like not just dog training. There's so many people in the job market right now that play this victim mentality, and they fail to see like it's your fault. Everything is your fucking fault. And they're just not people that I want, but it's fucking hard. And people talk a good game, and then, you know, you give them an opportunity or let them start hanging out and doing stuff, and then they're like, oh, I just want to sit on my ass all day and make a lot of money.
Yeah, and like, you know, I think we've talked about the differences before, but like we're talking about like entrepreneurs.
Oh, I got to say this before I forget.
Black Rifle Coffee's now newest roast is.
And this happened to me. It's happened to me 3 times in 1 year, right? Somebody reaching out to me as like, hey, I'm looking for a job for my son or daughter. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we don't really have like a, you know, young cadet program here.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, by the way, how old is your daughter or son? And they're like, 23, 24, 25. And I'm like, step 1, tell your fucking kid to reach out to the employer themselves. Stop coddling them and having difficult conversations for them. Like, sure, it can be uncomfortable sending an email or a text message. Like, but if you can't even do that and reach out to me directly looking for a job, I'm not going to fucking talk to you.
Yeah. Like, it definitely can be like, and like the whole part of it is if it is nerve wracking, good. Like I'd rather you have emotions. Like I'd rather you be nervous talking to me or nervous performing in front of me. Like if it was like hey, like, oh, you've trained your dog or 1 or 2 dogs. Like, let me see, like, you know, here's my dog, like work it or do something. I would expect you to be nervous. I'd hope you to be nervous, right? I don't want you to come out like, I'm going to show my stuff and like I'm the world's greatest gift. Like, no,
arrogant.
Like, like you should be humble about it. And like, you should have some nerves. I don't know why it reminds me when I was a kid in high school, me and my buddy, we were like trying to get like summer jobs or whatever. So like May, June timeframe, we're like walking the streets like of the town. I remember walking into like Rite Aid or whatever. Everywhere I went, I'd always walk up to like the manager on duty or like we'd go to the cashiers. I was like, hey, are you guys looking for a job? They're like they're working at Walgreens or at Rite Aid. And I would say like, are you guys looking for a job? And then my buddy's like, no, like, are you guys hiring? Like, you have to ask, are you hiring? Not, are you looking for a job? But like, I was 16, 17, like just nervous. Like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I think my buddy had already worked at like Baskin Robbins or something. So like, but like, it was my very first time like going through the employment process or asking something like that. Like, I was fucking nervous as shit. But,
oh my God. Yeah.
It was at least like we were hitting the streets.
You were talking to people. I've even had people request to do interviews over email. And I'm like, nope, that ain't going to be a thing. Like, if you're thinking about relocating to the area and you live in like, I don't know, the Midwest, like, I'm not going to make you come out here for a face-to-face interview. We have the technology where I can do a Zoom thing, but I'm going to talk to you face-to-face so I can see who you are, how you're reacting. Like, also, people forget, like, I spent a lot of time as a cop and like in the intelligence community, so I'm pretty good at reading bullshit. But those are all the things. Like, I honestly don't care about like a person's answer to a question. Like, if they're in the right realm of something, but I'm just seeing how you're doing, communicating with me, because that's another thing. Like, the art of communication or talking to a person is out the window because nobody fucking does it anymore.
Yeah, there's been a few times where like we've had people like shadow or ask questions, and you know, if you're interested in something like that, like you need to especially be an open book. Like yes, if you're being interviewed, like you should be talking and whatnot, but like almost in a certain capacity, you still need to be moldable, shapeable. Like you should do as much listening and learning, you know, and if it's your interview and like there's gonna be time for that on the back end, you know, of course. But like, I feel like at this point, if I was in an interview for a job, I'd be asking more questions than the interviewer probably, just because like I understand, like, you know, like I want to understand more of what's going on or whatever it is. But I definitely agree, like the hiring process. Like, I'm glad that like we don't we don't hire right now, like for the store. Like I'm glad that like Ashley and I just run it ourselves, but I know that we will get to that point. We were just talking with one of the local coffee shop, like veteran owned dudes.
Is it Black Rifle Coffee?
No, it's Bombshell Coffee.
They need to get that store opened up here ASAP.
Oh, the one up on Western, yeah. Well, in the meantime,
so Evan and Matt, if you guys are listening to this, just highly viewed, millions and millions of views, get that fucking store open.
Yeah, I used to hang out or work with, or I've hung out with the dudes who trained their PPDs a couple times.
Oh, really? I saw them all in Iraq one time.
That's pretty cool.
They came out there to release Range 15, so they did a private showing for everybody who was there. It was pretty dope.
It's a funny movie.
It was hysterical.
But so anyway,
I don't know why we're fucking blowing Black Rifle Coffee right now. It's weird. Whatever. So I would just saying
for employees, like we were talking about how stepping away from the business allows you to work on it, not in it. But then like there's the trust of what the employees are doing and all that kind of stuff. And you know, for us, I know we're eventually going to get there. Like Ashley says, like she'll die working in the business, you know, which like I get the passion and I love it. Eventually, like we have to take a bigger scope and allow the worker bees to come in and do the job that like we can't do 24/7 anymore.
I have this exact same conversation with even in Ridgeside. Like we'll have conversations with people who are like, how can I scale? Right. And I'm like, you got to get out of the business. And I'm young on the ownership thing, but like you have to. Oh,
like other location owners, or you're saying like other?
Yeah, like they're still on leash every single day, and I'm like my life was so much simpler when I was just training dogs every single day. Yeah. I could put on some headphones and just take dogs for a walk, like easy. But you can't scale that way. Right. Like I can only physically train so many dogs, and for the amount of time it takes to put repetitions into a dog. So if I tie up 6 hours of my day training, you know, split up across the day, like that's 6 hours that I can't be on the phone, I can't be on the computer, or doing all the other stuff, like going out and meeting other business owners, developing partnerships and all that stuff.
Yeah, like. You definitely learn a lot from networking and from that exposure. Like, you know, like for us, like we're going to the conference or to the Hold the Line conference in April, you know, just seeing how other businesses, like almost none of them are very similar to ours. Like I know Ray Allen's going to be there. Like they're heavily more in the police dog side of it, but like they do a lot of pet stuff. It's all kind of consolidated, kind of the same principle. You know, whereas we're more focused on the pet dog training side. So like
you'll love the dude from Ray Allen. He's fun.
Yeah, so like I'm looking forward to meeting them and just like all the other small business owners that are going to be there. Like the whole convention is made up of veteran or police officer owned businesses essentially. So it's going to be cool networking, seeing them. You know, I guess the biggest thing that I was saying though is like for trusting an employee or for having that trust in somebody to do what you know how to do so well. Like you know how to work a dog so well. You've done it for so long. Every problem, every client because like not only is it just the dog, but then it's also the client. Like your trainers are talking to the dogs daily and they're talking to owners daily. You know how to do that. You know how you'd respond in all the situations. And you know how easy it is to fuck up one of those responses. Yeah. Like, you know how easy it is for someone to be rude to somebody or someone to inappropriately, unfairly correct a dog when they shouldn't have been or whatever it may be, right? So to trust those massive pieces of the puzzle, you know, is a big daunting task, at least for us right now. Like, we're not...
Oh, dude, it's hard. And even when you pull the trigger... and you do get into it, like I heard this from Gary Vee, who, if you don't follow him, like super business dude, like you should definitely follow him. Yeah. Hiring is guessing, firing is knowing, because like you're just taking a guess on somebody, and you know people lie and manipulate, and like the person you're interviewing is not truly 100% of that person, because you have the nerve factor. They're saying what they think you want to hear, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But a couple months down the road, like, you start to see who they truly are. I think I was fortunate in my police officer days to kind of learn a valuable lesson in this, where I was a field training officer. So I would get like some idiot out of the academy would ride around with me and I would train him. And I remember like losing my shit on this kid one day because like we were driving down the road. In my brain, I wanted to turn right and he turned left. And I was like, why the fuck did you just turn that way? He was like, because I wanted to go to this place. We've never seen it. And I'm like, but I know there's shitheads down there. Like, I know that's where the work is going to be. And he was like, well, I got to learn that. I'm like, valid point.
Yeah.
But like, I was mad, like 100% truly mad that he turned the wrong way. And it's not like we were going anywhere. We weren't going to a call. We were just like in between calls, goofing around, looking for shit to do. Yeah, very, very wild. And then even like now I'll be at a group training and like, I'll see somebody do something that isn't exactly what I would have done in that situation
all the time.
And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, but then I'm like, what? And then I'll take a second, I'll take a breath, like go into my own little OODA loop and be like, why did they do that?
Yeah. And like on that side of it is even the way you would have done it, you also like, if I do something with a dog, right after I do it, I think, oh, like I hope to say that worked, but I also would say, you know, I also could have done it this way, this way, and this way. So like, even if like it's not the way that you saw something, and if you would have done it a certain way, you could have done it 20 different ways.
Yeah.
So like maybe they picked way number 5 on how you would have tiered it, but like it was still acceptable in that moment. Or, you know, dogs have to learn a lot of different things. So like, in that moment, it was just learning something differently at a different time, kind of deal.
But it's cutting that umbilical cord of like, I trust you to carry on as an employee, to carry on the brand and be a representative of the company is very, very difficult for sure.
And I think like it's very easy to see who respects that and who doesn't. Can like obviously be like, either if they're mold them, or if not, like you can see it. Cause like that's the biggest thing is, as a trainer, you know, it's not just your job on the line, or it's not just your job security, it's everybody else's. Like
100%,
you know, like I can like, not only can you do something to mess up everyone's food on their dinner table or in their fridge, but I can too. You know, if I do something wrong or I negligently do something, that can affect, it can go up the chain and then it can come right back down to everybody else.
Yeah.
So like having that extreme like understanding of what you do can affect others, and have that respect and understanding the responsibility of that goes a long ways.
Once you guys start scaling and hiring people, like you'll find that hiring is tough, firing is way worse.
I could imagine.
It's and I've been burnt, like just like giving people the benefit of the doubt.
You want to invest in them, I assume. Like if you've already invested in them, like you want to mold it, or is it more of a?
Yeah, I think it's just like give them another chance. Give them another chance. It's kind of like being caught in a bad relationship, like battered wife syndrome. Not that like we're here beating the shit out of each other, but like people are who they are, and if that doesn't align with your vision and your progress and where you want this to go, then just like, you know, if me and Marcy were together, I mean, we are together, but like if she was like, hey, my values have changed, I no longer want to do X, Y, Z. And that was me wanting to do X, Y, Z. Like, cool. No hard feelings. Best of luck to you. But I got to go. Like, I'm not going to change my path, my value structure just because yours changed.
Right.
Like if that's what you believe in, cool. Absolutely. And then with employees, like I can only teach you, show you, and then like give you the blueprint for it, but you have to do it. And then like, oh, you know, like I get it. Maybe they had an off month, or like they were just this. They're like, if you see the signs that somebody is lazy, they are. So like, if that's not what you believe in, just cut the cord.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
There's definitely a lot to it. There's definitely a lot that like I said, I'm excited for it. And it's one of those things where like I've owned, like I got out of the Marine Corps and I like started my own landscaping business. So like I was kind of like,
yeah, you sold that off for like hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard of the small company like True Green or something?
Yeah, I wish.
Or Scott's Fertilizer or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know too many lawn companies.
U.S. Lawns.
Yeah.
So I think like the biggest thing especially on the dog training side of it is there's entrepreneurs that, you know, want their own business and have the capacity to execute those certain things. But then within the community, you want to have a few entrepreneurs, like people who like managers that excel at managing, like not just a cashier that was promoted to a manager and like now they're the manager, but it's a person who doesn't want to run their own business or isn't ready to run their own business, but they want growth and they want to see a company succeed, and then they will do whatever it takes from the inside to make that company succeed.
Oh yeah.
So like having, you know, select entrepreneurs in your space as well, which like on the retail side of it, not nothing that like we're looking for, but like I could definitely see like as the training companies grow and expand and like how like, you know, NorCal and all the other locations have growth and bigger and more trainers. It's something that like it has to trickle down eventually. Like you can't just be the entrepreneur and then run everything.
No,
right?
you absolutely can't. Like, so now like even the way we're structured, like we have all the trainers and then you have me and Marcy over top of that. There's not a lot of like tiers, but as this scales, there's going to come a point where we're going to have to backfill to like fill our positions while we're out working on the next step. So
right.
like we started out as dog trainers, then we became owners, and then eventually we're going to become like enterprise. I don't know if that's the next fucking step, but whatever. Like we're going to have multiple locations, and then like, I mean, depending on how far we take it, and I'm going to the moon, but
Hell
like,
yeah.
you got to, and at some point, like I'm going to have to farm out marketing. I'm going to have to farm out content, sales, because eventually we're almost at that point where sales is becoming a 2-3 person job. So I don't know. There's growth all over the place if you do it right. But the key is like investing that back into the business. Like as a face value, like when you look at a multiple trainer dog training company, if they're doing it right, like tax returns, they make a decent amount of money. But then you don't see what funnels back into it if you're successful. Like talking about marketing, I would have had like, if you'd asked me a year ago, like, what do you think you would spend on marketing a month? I'd be like, well, maybe like $2,000. And then when I look at the receipts of shit now, I'm like, my God, like what happened? But like, you got to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then people were like, well, I talked to, you know, I have a good buddy who's at that point where like he started his own dog training business, personal one. And he's at that point where like he's overbooking himself and like kind of working himself into the ground. So he's at this like scaling point.
Yeah.
And
like he's like plateauing kind of.
Yeah. Cause you can only do so much as one, like too many phone calls, too many dogs coming in. I'm like, well, you got to hire another person. He's like, we had the same conversation about like, well, who do I hire? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you just got to find a good person, train him to be a dog trainer. And then he was like, well, how do I make sure I feed them? I'm like, you got to increase your marketing budget. He's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to.
Got to reinvest.
You got to put it like, you know, $100 a day on Google is only going to take you so far. You know, spend money everywhere. It's crazy.
It's a lot, but I think it's worth it. Like I wouldn't, like we wake up and we live a life that like we couldn't imagine living any differently.
No, if you would have, even when I was talking to Aaron, when I was leaving the safe, secure government job, kind of secure because it was a government contracting thing. And he was like, you can make X dollars being a dog trainer. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way. And I'm like, I'm legitimately going to need to see this broken down for me, like in spreadsheets. And he did. And I was like, I don't believe you. And he was like, just do it for a couple months.
Yeah.
And like, I was working both jobs and I was like, oh, how about that?
Yeah. And even on the, you know, kind of like saying how like all the trainers are entrepreneurs in their own right is like, it does take a lot of reinvestment even on that side of it, you know, like you could start dog training with 2 kennels, 2 plastic kennels or 2 whatever. But like, as you grow as a dog trainer, either in a franchise or in a community or on your own, you know, you can choose to not upgrade your space and take that money and run, like we said, or month by month, every time you get that extra income, cool, let's get a new kennel, let's get a better kennel, let's get a better leashes, better treats, better food, better
vehicle for transportation.
Yeah, so like 5 years, 4 years into like the more extreme side of dog training, where the more higher volume of dog training, like every month I'm still reinvesting. Like I just did a pretty big reinvestment on the van just to make the dogs happier, healthier, make my life easier. You know, like I'm still reinvesting a lot of what I make into the job. And like, I feel like that, not that it never ends, but it's just
one of the things that drives me nuts that people say, and we're like completely off topic, there's whatever. When they argue or when they tell you like, I don't do this for money, you're full of shit, right? Like,
so then do it for free.
Yeah, do it for free. And like, I understand the concept behind it.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't get into the dog training space because like I love dogs, but I wouldn't be doing this if we were not making money.
Right.
Like, I would go do something else because
I do it at a smaller scale. I might foster 1 dog a month.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm not
I have my own dogs and I train them. But like from the business side, like my primary goal is to make money.
Yeah. I want to eat what I want to eat. I want to go where I want to go and support that.
And then like the amount of shit I get sometimes because I buy a nice car. Like, oh, you have a nice car. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I have worked my ass off for 20 years to get to the point where I'm at. I want to drive around in a nice car. Sometimes my inhibitions go a little bit crazy and I start looking at like 9-figure cars and I'm like, you don't need that. Yeah, I could finance a McLaren. It's fine. Who cares? But yeah, but on the counterpoint to that is some people start making really, really good money and then that catches a hold of them.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't think money changes people. You hear that a lot. Like money changes people. I think it just brings out who you really are.
Yeah. Brings out your intentions or
kind of like testosterone, right? Like obviously I'm on TRT, hormone treatments, whatever. I just eat like shit. That's why I'm fat, but I feel good all the time. But like everybody says TRT will make you aggressive, but there's so much research that actually like TRT just brings out who you really are as a human. So they gave like a bunch of monks TRT. I think I either heard this on Huberman or Rogan, whatever. But they gave monks TRT and they turned into like super nice people because they're like genuine people. But then you get a bunch of shitheads TRT and they just become bigger shitheads.
That makes sense.
So money doesn't change you. It just brings out who you really are. And if you're an asshole when you get into business as a human and then you start to make money, you're certainly going to be an asshole.
I mean, kind of the same thing going back to the whole like Mr. Beast thing again is like starting out wanting to give back to people, you know, now super, super rich, giving more and more back to people, you know, it's like
we basically have the same content budget. Like,
yeah, that's what we need to do is we just need to start giving out free dogs to everybody.
Yeah. And I'll just take out a loan for like $2 million. We'll put it in the production of a video and we'll make that back with our 67 subscribers, whatever it is.
That brings us to our next point is if you're this far in the video, like and comment and subscribe.
Yeah. I'll check the viewer engagement and see where we lost them. And then I'll just start chopping that many minutes off the video.
It'll be average view time is 3 minutes. And then with an hour-long video, it's going to cut it down to 30 seconds.
We've really been talking for an hour?
54 minutes.
That's that Black Rifle car fleet got me going. Yay, yay.
That's actually a good part for the sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at rsk9nc.greg, and RSK9 Training Supplies is the stores page. And then I'm going to shout out rsk9nc.ashley because she absolutely runs the store far beyond what I can do in my capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, dudes aren't good at that shit.
She crushes it.
Anyways, you can get me at Mike_Swarchek, and you can find the training company at Ridgeside K9, Eastern Carolina. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit that share button.
Yeah, if you have any business related questions as well, hit us up.
Yeah, clear. If you made it this far, and we're just shouting out the comments, you can clearly tell we're fucking geniuses. So let us know.
All right,
we'll see you
later.